Hello and welcome to ReginaldESQ. I'm Underhook and this is my review of the Chinese Tier 4 light tank, the M5A1 Stuart. So this is a variation of the American M5 Stuart, and the Chinese obviously purchased the tank and slightly modified. So it's not the same as the American tank. But is this tank any good? Yeah, it's a very good tank. I really like this tank. Bear in mind though that it is a scout tank, so you will be facing tanks up to tier 8. Now most of the tier 4 light tanks are scout tanks, with the exception of the Valentine and the AMX-40. They are not scout tanks, but all of the other light tanks at this tier are scout tanks. So it's in the same boat as the others. So compared to them, it's a very good tank. We'll get into review. It has 340 hit points, which is average for this tier. It weighs from 16 to 18 ton, which is fairly weighty for this tier. The only tanks you've got to be careful of is, or say, don't ram an AMX-40, don't ram the Covenanter, and probably don't ram a Valentine. And you kind of line ball with ramming an A20. So other than that, you can probably come off better in a ram against another light tank. Now it has a speed of 64.4 kilometers an hour, which is very fast. It does it easily. Downhill, I've had this up to 80 kilometers an hour down a hill, so it's bloody fast. And the handling's actually not bad, even though it only has a traverse of 30. With that speed, by the way, the only faster tank than you is the A20. Other than that, you're the fastest tier 4 light tank. Now, yeah, the traverse speed of 38 is a little below average, but it only really suffers at high speed. At low speed, the traverse, you wouldn't notice that the traverse is a bit poor. At high speed, though, when you corner at high speed, the tank almost rolls over. It goes onto one track and really tilts. Apparently, though, in World of Tanks, you can't flip a tank. It's just it won't let you flip a tank. So don't panic about it, but I kind of do panic about it. When you see a tank tipping over, you just quickly and you straighten up again, but I don't think it will tip. But yeah, it does sort of go onto one side when you turn fast. Now the turret traverse of 48 though is very good, and the only tank that has a better turret traverse is the A20. There's a couple other tanks that have the same sort of turret traverses, like the T50 and the Covenanter, but other than that, it's a very good turret traverse. Now your view range of 350 is average. It doesn't have any big cupola sticking up above the roof, so it's got an average turret traverse. Average view range. But the signal range is at 615 is very good. The only one that's better than that is the T50, the Russian T50. So yeah, it's very good. Now the camouflage rating on this tank, and I quite like this very modern looking camouflage it has on it now. The camouflage paint, but the camouflage in this tank is a little bit below average, but it does keep its camouflage whilst moving. The only tanks that don't keep their camouflage whilst moving this tier is the AMX-40, which, let's face it, is pretty much a heavy tank with a light tank gun, and the Valentine, which is pretty much a medium tank with with a heavy tank gun. So yeah, that's not a big bonus. So it's a little below average, and that's mainly due to its height. It's fairly high, this tank, even though it's very short. But height seems to be one of the deciding factors as far as camouflage goes. So let's have a look at the gun selection for this tank, or the grind for this tank. Where are we? Here we are. So it's you've pretty much got a choice of two guns. And it's funny, but the turret comes after the gun, so you can have both of these guns without the turret. Now you start off with this 37mm M6 gun. It has 56 mils of penetration and does 40 damage. And really, I can't see any point in keeping it other than it has a very quick aim time of 1.7. As far as the accuracy goes, it's at 0.42. It's exactly the same as the 47mm, which also has 0.42. And given that the 47mm has a much better penetration and almost does double the damage, with a rate of fire which is fairly similar at 24 compared to 26.09, really the only benefit you're getting on the 37mm, any discernible benefit, is the aiming time. And really, yeah, get the 47mm. I'm not even going to show you a game in a 37mm because it just doesn't Most of the time it won't pen, considering that not that many of your games are against tier 4s. So that's about the only tier it will do any good, against tier 3s and tier 4s, and even then it won't penetrate some of them. So the majority of the time the gun just won't penetrate, and then when it does very little damage, so don't use it. This 47mm though is a very good gun, has 81 penetration, which, you know, is still going to see you pretty well at tier 6. You know, Hellcats and those sort of things, you'll still penetrate them at tier 6, so no problem. And you're doing 70 damage, which is pretty good damage. Even, you know, at tier 4 that's good damage, even tier 5 that's good damage. 0.42 accuracy, it isn't great, but it's serviceable. And a 2.3 second aim time is a little long, but it is what it is. And most of the time I've found in this tank I'm shooting at close range anyway, because I'm sort of doing circles around people and ducking in and out behind rocks. And the 24 aiming rate of fire is very, very good. Obviously, being a scout tank, you want to get the radio pretty quickly. The engine I've found, look, it's got a lot more power in this engine, so it's definitely worthwhile upgrade. And the tracks just obviously increase your traverse. Only increases from 36 to 38, but any little bit it helps. And the turret really is a bit of an armor upgrade. But really the amount of armor it's giving you at this tier is not a big deal, but it does increase your view range, and that's pretty important as well. And yeah, but the traverse speed doesn't change. Thankfully though, it doesn't add much weight. Alright, so let's have a look at the rest of the tank. Now, as far as size comparison, it is a very small tank. I've got it pretty zoomed in here, but let's compare it to something we all know is small, like the T7 combat car at tier 2. So you can see the combat car is actually longer, although probably not quite as high as the M5A1 Stuart. So that's just to give you a little quick size comparison. And maybe something else we know, well, at this tier you've got the T80. There's the T80, because I'll be reviewing that soon as well. So it's pretty much similar length, but it's higher. It's a bulkier tank. And the A20 is much bigger, a much longer tank, but probably similar height. So that gives you an idea of some of its comparisons. I'll get into the armor in a minute in Tank Inspector. As far as the guns go though, the gun depression on the top gun, the one I was talking about just before on this tank, is 10 degrees of gun depression, and the elevation is 20. The elevation of 20 is quite good, and the gun depression of 10 is very good. So it can hill fight well, and it's great. It's got lots of power, so you can zoom around on hills, get close to people, and really harass people. And the tank is very good at that. There are tanks with better gun depression in the game, such as the actual M5 Stuart, the American version of this tank, has 20 degrees of gun depression and 40 degrees elevation. So it really beats this its brother on the gun depression elevation stakes. However, the M5A1 is faster than the M5 Stuart, the American version. So it's kind of has some trade-offs. There's some areas where this tank is better and some where it's worse. So it has better turret traverse, for example, but its actual tank traverse is not as good. And its view signal range is the same, but the view range on the M5 Stuart is superior by about 20 meters. So you've got trade-offs. They both have their pluses and minuses. Other than that, there's not much more to say. We'll go into Tank Inspector, have a bit of a look, and then I've got a game for you which is a spotting only game at, I think it's tier 6, and then I've got a game at tier 4 where you can show you how this tank can actually dominate its tier. Now, my commander will be 100% in the games, and he has a little bit of training in recon. The rest of the team will be varying from sort of 75 to 90%. Alright, let's get into it. Thank you, Tank Inspector, for your excellent program. Here we are in Tank Inspector. Let's have a look at the colorized view of the M5A1 Stuart. The upper plate, frontal plate, is 29mm thick, quite well sloped, but it's pretty thin. The lower plate has a section in the middle here, that red section, which is 64mm thick, and you can see here from this sort of angle, it's giving the equivalent of about 100 or so. And the side section here is 38. No one's probably going to shoot at your lower plate though, because it's such a small tank. Everyone knows they can punch a hole through it, so they're all going to aim at the biggest, easiest part, which is going to be your upper plate. Maybe when you're cresting a hill, that might save you from the odd shot. Staying on the front, let's look at the turret. We have 45mm of armor at the very front of the turret. This blue section here around the mantlet is 25mm overlaying the 45. Possible you could bounce some shots off that. And the actual mantlet here we have 51mm, but in places it does overlay and give you more armour. The actual front sides of the turret here are only 32mm thick, but they do give the equivalent of around 42 simply because they are well sloped at that section of the turret. When we get to the side, we have 29mm and 32 on the turret. And the rear side section is 25mm, as is the rest of the rear of the tank. Rear of the turret is 32. And on the right hand side of the turret, we have some spaced armor here of 13mm. I'm pretty sure the only reason that's there is to protect I think the machine gunner stands on the outside of the tank here to use the machine gun, because it's just here. And that's just a bit of armor to protect the machine gunner from light arms fire. The top of the tank, the top deck, is 13mm and will be obviously smashed by any artillery. Now, obviously you're not relying on your armor in this tank, you're relying on your maneuverability and your stealth. You're pretty much not going to bounce anything except maybe some tier 3 light machine gun fire, light auto cannon fire. Alright, let's get out of Tank Inspector. Now, what I'm going to do, I've got two clips first to show you, which is one showing you the maneuverability as far as popping in and out behind rocks goes. Then I'm going to show you another clip where I go head to head with a Leopard, and it shows off the maneuverability of the Leopard and of the M5A1 Stuart. It's basically a duel between the two of us, but it gives you an idea of how it maneuvers in that sort of a battle. Then I've got a game which is just spotting, the whole game which is just spotting. They're basically hardly any shooting to show you how you go spotting at higher tiers. And then I've got a game where we're tier 4, top tier, and it shows you this tank can actually kick ass in tier 4. Let's get into it. So this is just a little section of a game. It's a tier 5 game on Redshire. I just want to show you that the tank can be quite sneaky and quite cheeky, if you like. So here we are, we've come across an M5A1 tank destroyer. And of course we've spotted him just by being close enough to him. We pop around, give it a little shot there. People don't expect you to pop around a little tank like this, but the gun's pretty punchy at tier 5. That's 81mm of penetration. Now you see me just dodging these tanks. I'm obviously being very lucky, but it does reverse quite quickly. I think it's 20 kilometers an hour. And you can see there the maneuverability of the tank when I kept changing direction is quite good. Now what I've done there is spotting all those guys. Now my team is playing very well. It's just annihilating them. Okay, so we can't penetrate the stug, but we do get a critical on it, maybe damaging its gun or something. I can then just pop around here, get a cheeky shot into the side. Before he can turn around, I'm gone again. So this is what I mean by it's quite cheeky. You can change direction, move around pretty quick. I'm not going to go in front of that stug that's pointing at me. But if he's going to come around, why not? And now I missed that shot. But you know, if I had tracked him, he'd have been stuffed. And that's where you have to be careful with this M5A1 because it's quite a tricky tank. It's a very small target, and with the front being so heavily sloped, and see how this rock is sloped, I can come right up to the rock and it's very hard for people to do anything about it. And just little things like that, you just, like that M7 was coming at me, just bang, shot, he had to stop and think, and I just pulled back. And I'm very lucky I've got lots of teammates providing covering fire, so they are scared to come around anyway. And there we go, finishing off the M7. Now I'm in trouble. There's a KV1 coming and I'm not going to be able to penetrate the KV1. So my cheekiness looks like it might be about to come to an end. We'll see if we can get a shot into him anyway, or try and track him. Okay, so I went for his track there, but I was rushing my shot and stuffed it. We got a critical, which probably was track damage. So we'll try and see if we can get his tracks again, because we can't let him come around. Well, I aimed for his track, but we actually penetrated him. So there you go, it's good penetration. I'll go for his far track. We penetrated him again, but didn't track him, which is what I wanted, and he's just come around and basically finished me off, which is fair enough. Alright, that's it for that little clip. Okay, so this was a tier 8 game, and as you can see on the screen there is an enemy tier 5 Leopard. So I'm in a tier 4 M5A1 Stuart. Now he had already hit me, as you can see down on the left of the screen there, 3 times, because he's got an auto loader or machine gun type gun, when I was spotting earlier. And I've been doing a fair bit of spotting, and he decided to come and get me. So this is him just shooting. He's just come down from the hill. He's traveling quite fast, and there's a duel, and it's a good way to see the maneuverability and the firing on the move of the tank, even though I'm not very good at it. Alright, so let's go. As you can see, I'm doing 50, and the M5A1's maneuverability and speed is very good. Now, one thing with those machine gun firing things is they're not very good at firing when you're moving, or when the other tank is moving. So if I keep myself moving here, it's hard for him to hit me. Mind you, it's not easy for me to hit either, as you can see. I'm missing a lot. So bear in mind, I was damaged already before the battle started and he was on full health. It looks like I'm going slow, but I'm doing 37 at the moment. Considering we're maneuvering, that's not bad.
They're knocked down.
So there you go, zippy little tank.
Time to roll out.
Tier 7 battle on Malinovka. This will give you a bit of a chance to check out the speed of the tank up the hill here. So we're accelerating up the hill, we've hit 42. That's not bad from a standing start, and we're pretty much uphill the whole way, didn't get a run up. Slowing down a little now, but without any run up, it's still quite a good speed. It's a tier 7 game, quite a few tier 7s, tier 6s. I'm not intending to engage in much shooting because once you get tier 7, tier 8 tanks, I've found for me the games normally don't last very long. I normally get killed pretty quickly because there's so many tanks that can one-shot kill you. And yeah, you need to try and spot them, and yeah, you just sort of poke out behind a rock and someone's aiming at the rock and you're dead. So yeah, so this case I'm starting to learn. I poke up there, spot what's coming, and then run away. Yeah, don't try and engage them. The M3 leader is probably the only one I could maybe penetrate. And so I come up here just to see if maybe he does something silly and exposes himself and I can get a shot on him. But he doesn't. There's a KV-1S. I shoot at him just to annoy him, really. I'm not expecting to do anything to him, and now I decide to run away. And you can see here, it's quite good at going down these sort of things. Does it quite well, quite controlled. There's tanks shooting at me, but I'm running now down this valley because I've seen other scout tanks do it. You've got a bit of a little of a valley there, so you're actually protected from cover to a certain extent until you come out here. And he missed me, fortunately, the BDR. As you can see, it reversed back pretty quick there. Good reverse speed, about 20 kilometers an hour. And all I'm intending to do from here is spot. I'm not intending to shoot anyone because there's probably pretty much no one I can penetrate. And what I'm trying to do is, tanks that come after me basically getting dragged out in the open, and our tank destroyers can munch them up. So I'm really here to spot and annoy people. And now I'm on a really good team. This T20 has now come up to help me. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he's seen me come up here and thought, well, I'm spotting. He knows what's here, so it's safe for him to come up. And he's also pretty much assisting me by keeping me alive, because if they come after me, I know and gets them, they will kill me. Unfortunately, though, with him here, I'm now not the one spotting these tanks, and so I'm probably not getting any spotting damage for being here. But yeah, hey, I don't mind. The thing is with scout tanks, it's very hard to get a lot of, I find it hard to get a lot of experience and a lot of points in a game. I'm not very good, of course, at driving scout tanks, but you know, you don't really get rewarded that much for spotting, and a lot of the time you're spotting, but even if another tank like that one is behind you sometimes, because their view range is longer, they end up being the tank that's spotting the target. Because to get points, you have to be the only one spotting, otherwise you don't get spotting points. So even if, as long as they're within view range, they're getting the points even if you initially spotted it. And I find that very frustrating. So you can see there, even though I was getting a green indicator on some spots in that T-34, he was quite well angled to me and I couldn't get a penetration. I was trying to track him there towards the end there, and I couldn't track him either. So I was trying to track him again by aiming at that front corner, but I can't track him. There's probably people screaming at this video right now saying, "You're shooting the wrong part!" So, yep. Told you I wasn't real good at it. I don't think people watch my reviews for brilliant gameplay anyway. What you're watching is average person gameplay. But I review the tanks. Right? I'm not a great player, I admit that straight away. But I think I'm okay at reviewing tanks. I can't see him. I know they're out there somewhere, so I want to be pretty careful here. We're winning this game by a mile. It's 11-4 now, so it's pretty much getting to the end of the game. I can't see us losing the game. This tank is very good on hills as well because it's got good gun depression and because it's very small. Okay, so there's the Churchill who's coming for us, so we just outmaneuver him. I know he's a slow tank. Wait for him to come down, then we'll just move forward again, but as it turns out, he got sucked in and killed. I've got a great team. Whenever a tank gets dragged out in the open, they shoot it. Whenever I spot something, they shoot at it. So I decided to have a shot at this guy because it's the side of his tank and he wasn't angled. I thought I'd try it, but I wore a shot and it bounced. So just no luck with penetration there. So he's coming after me. I'm just backing away and our team nails him. As I said before, good team. Whenever I'm under threat, they nail the guy. So this guy here, I'm trying to do spotting him. I'm not really trying to do any damage to him. And he gets nailed. And that's it. That's the end of the game. Okay, so having a look at the stats, we can see that even though we did no damage, the spotting we did was enough to get us our Class 3 Mastery badge. So we did get some good spotting done. Let's have a look at the next screen and we can see that, there we go, 0 damage, but we finished sort of middle of the pack. Obviously the Lux there was doing the same things as me. He's got 0 damage, but he got more experience than me, so he probably did a bit of a better job. But he was spotting as well. So it looks like we had people spotting and a really good team. So next screen, we fired 8 shots, 6 of which were direct hits, so the accuracy was pretty good considering the crew's not fully trained, only 76% except for the commander. We did get 1 penetration, which was probably some track damage. That was at the start, wasn't it? That was the KV-1S. Actually, it might have been turret or something because that was that KV-1S right at the start, I think. Hits received 1 and penetrations 1, that was near the end. We spotted 1 and damaged 1. Damage due to our assistance was 1,198, which at tier 4 is pretty good. Pretty good. 17,000 credits for just spotting, which is quite nice. And that was some other reward. So looking at the money we spent on repair and ammunition, you know, we still probably would have made about 15,000 just from spotting, which is pretty good. Experience was 503, which once again from spotting is pretty good. So, and that was enough for 3rd class. Okay, on to the next game. Okay, the map is Westfield. I'm pretty sure, I forgot to check. We're about to go up a hill, so you can check out the speed up the hill. Tier 4 game. Pretty much every tank is a tier 4, except both sides have 1 tier 3 artillery each. Other than that, they're all tier 4s. This tank rocks at tier 4. It's a really good tank at tier 4. The gun does really well. Good gun depression, very maneuverable. If there are tier 3s in the game, the armor is okay against some tier 3s. Fantastic tank. Love this tank. So this game is... we have some very good players on our team. Or our team plays a very good game anyway, and the other team, like right now, makes a lot of mistakes. So it's a bit of a, I think Americans would say a turkey shoot, or fish in a barrel, you could say. So we've got some guys pushing out scouting, which is good. The guys with armor, the mediums, have pushed out to do some scouting. I've pulled back because I was worried I might have been spotted. I don't have 6th sense. Now I'm coming forward again. So yeah, we've got some mediums with good armor that are pushing forward and doing the spotting, which is a great idea. And I'm just reaping the benefits. As you can see there, accuracy suffers a bit, but it's 500 meters. But you can see that we still managed to penetrate that M3 Lee at 500 meters, or about 460 meters now. So like I said, our team plays well and the other team makes
Enemy armor is
quite a few mistakes. Like going right on the edge there in that sort of a tank is not a great move. I think we probably hit, but that shot looked like it might have hit.
Enemy armor is hit.
That's pretty good accuracy for that range.
Gotcha.
And we got him with the blind shot there. Good guess.
Enemy is hit.
Well, 450 meter shot there. So yeah, the top gun in this tank is a very good gun for a tier 4 gun. Saying that, I just missed. I don't think it was fully aimed though.
Enemy armor is hit.
So you can imagine
Enemy is hit.
with a fully trained crew,
Penetration.
it's going to be better than this. And you can see the tanks, nobody is spotting me. So you've got great camouflage in this tier 4 light tank. Or maybe they are spotting me, but nobody wants to shoot at me because I'm such a little tank. They think, oh, it's no big deal, he's not a problem. But you can see from the rate of fire of this tank and the penetration it has, it is a problem for a lot of tanks. So I'm just blind firing now. I saw a bit of rubble get distracted, so I'm changing there, but hoping I'm hitting him with some of these shots. Ah, there he is.
Penetration.
Now, admittedly, the T-28 doesn't have a lot of armor, so he's not a difficult penetration, but yeah, that's the end of the game, folks. All over. Okay, so a good game with a good team. That got us our second class mastery badge. And you can see there we hit a lot of tanks and we've got a high caliber. How's that? Tier 4 light tank gets high caliber. So, yeah, I think that shows you that it's a great tank. Next screen, obviously we finished on top for experience for our team. We also finished on top for damage, doing 1128. And the next nearest in damage was indeed that tank below us, the B1 there, did 705. He's a heavy tank. So, wow. Look, we were in the right position at the right time and we had a great team. That helps a lot. But just the fact that there's such a fast-firing gun, when we had so many targets, we were just able to just keep firing the whole time, which was enabled us to get that score. And next screen. So we fired 35 shots. Direct hits were 22. Now, that will improve, I have no doubt, with a fully trained crew. But also, as you saw, a lot of those shots were very long range. So that's not bad, actually. And out of those 22 shots, 18 penetrations, which once again, I'm very happy with that, considering the range we were shooting at. To penetrate at all on some of those tanks, firing from a light tank, is very impressive. We did 1128 damage, which is fantastic at a tier 4 game. Now, enemy spotted 1, we damaged 7, destroyed 3. Very happy with that. We also managed to do a bit of spotting damage as well, and that got us 23,000 credits, and we spent like about 1,200 ammunition. So we would have made, even without this bonus, about 22,000, close to 22,000 on the game anyway. So really profitable. And the 635 experience got us our class 2, which means it is a very good tank, and it's probably people out there who play a lot better than me getting very good scores, because that's only class 2. It must be hard to get mastery. Alright, that's it. Thank you for watching my review of the Chinese M5A1 Stuart. If you liked the review, please give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more, please subscribe to ReginaldESQ. Do have fun!